Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Sage Intacct Construction demo. My name is Mara Kadima, I'm Marketing Coordinator here at Action Associates. Just some quick housekeeping items. Today's webinar will be recorded, so you are muted, and we'll be sharing the link with you after the recording has concluded. During the presentation, please use the Q&A feature to ask questions if needed, and we will answer them during the Q&A session at the end. Also, if you're to experience any technical issues, also use the Q&A feature. I will try my best to help you out during, but you know, technology, you never know. So, and then we also have a post-webinar survey, which is already available in your webinar console. Please fill that out as your feedback is important to us. Let me introduce you to our presenter today, Jared Wazlewski. He's been a pre-sales engineer here at Action for 2 years and has over 8 years of experience with Sage software, so he is an expert in Sage Intacct Construction. I'm now going to pass it over to him so you guys can look at today's content.
Perfect. Thanks, Mars. And good morning, good evening, or afternoon, wherever you may be located here in the U.S. Just want to start off with kind of a what's coming out in the future. I think we have some our core webinars coming out September the 10th at 1 o'clock. So if you want to attend that, please log into the action.com/events page. You can see all of the latest webinars, what's coming out, what to expect, what also be able to see. All right. So kind of getting into more of today's agenda, what we're going to be covering. So want to talk a little bit about what is Sage Intacct before we get into the demonstration. Then we're going to go over several different functionalities, workflows within the platform, talking about reporting, visibility, some of the dashboard functions, as I mentioned. I am going to also talk a little bit about the Action Data Bridge that is currently in early adopters. So a lot more information to come on what is that. And then at the end of the time, kind of like Mars mentioned, we're going to use some Q&A. So as we go throughout the demonstration, please feel free to drop all of your questions in that. I'll try to be monitoring throughout, so if I can quickly address them, or we might just reserve the time at the end to go over those questions. So first and foremost, high level, what is Sage Intacct? Well, Sage Intacct is a true cloud born in the cloud, software. Really what that allows a lot of the users to be able to have is a lot easier workflows, a lot of tools in there with our smart rules, smart events that help build in automation as well as standard workflows within the platform. There's also some approval processes in this as well, whether we're dealing with subcontracts, bills, POs, whatever the field might be. And then obviously with a cloud-based system, comes to some of the capabilities with that they're called an open API, which really revolves around integration. So there's a ton of different solutions out there, kind of going into that best-in-class or power of choice, as you may remember hearing from a while back. And Intacct really gives you that. So whether you're wanting to pair up Intacct with a Procore or the Sage Construction Management module or that application, either way, a lot of tight integrations between those, and happy to talk a little bit more of that as we continue on. And then obviously having all of this tight integration, all of this information all in one source or a source of truth gives us that real-time visibility into whatever our reports are, our dashboards, and we're going to talk a lot more of that as we go throughout the presentation. When we also start to talk about Intacct at more of a granular basis, Intacct stands for Internet Accounting. It was created back in 1998, and over the years has focused on several different verticals, such as the non-for-profit, healthcare, private equity, a lot of different areas. It really wasn't until about 2017 when Sage made the acquisition of Intacct that they wanted to bring a lot of the capabilities to the construction market, that cloud capabilities. So that's kind of where the decision behind that Intacct purchase really stemmed from. So things like, as you see on this list, projects. Well, a lot of these other verticals actually focused and had projects, but they didn't have it to where it was tailored around the construction vertical. such as our cost codes, right? That's kind of more project specific. So that's where really Intacct tailored around what does the construction vertical need, what can we leverage already inside Intacct, and then bring the two together, all right? The other thing that I always like to show as well is having this capabilities in the cloud, having it born in the cloud. You're going to see that I'm going to show you kind of some of the things with updates are all done automatically, as well as when you look at security is a huge one to us, especially in this day and age, where if you see a security like a platform, or say we have phishing or something in our instances, we no longer have to worry about our data, our back-end data getting captured, because the information is not stored on our server. It's stored through the AWS or Amazon Web Services network. And they, as you know, have billions invested into that cybersecurity. So again, your data is always secured, backed up, and there for whenever you need it. So with that being said, I'm going to start to share my screen. We're going to go into some of these different workflows. So perfect. As you should be starting to see the Intacct dashboard, there's several things I want to kind of touch base with you on this dashboard. So as we start to look into it, there it goes, let's get it loaded up. As we start to go into it, or into the overall workflow, one thing I always like to highlight is I am logged in as a business admin license or a business user. What that enables me is the visibility to see and access everything within the platform. So when you're looking at these applications or modules, if you're more familiar with that term, as you start to look through all these, it's no longer the days where you have 2 licenses of GL, 3 licenses of job cost, and so on and so forth. Each license, such as the business, the project manager, or the employee, comes with different visibility to see everything. And as I mentioned, business allows us to see all of these applications. Our project manager would only allow us to be able to edit these projects, create new projects, also go into these transactions such as our purchase orders, creating new purchase orders or contracts, but you're not going to have the visibility or ability to go into your AP and pay out any bills, right? You're not going to see them. Last license type I alluded to was your employee license. Really where this is going to come into play is anyone who might need to capture time or expenses, they're able to enter that in. They can also, or where we start to leverage this as a out-of-the-box license type, is it almost acts as a viewer, right? So you could be able to see all of your dashboards, all of your reports. You could even be able to see some of the bills and approve said bills, but you're not going to be able to create a bill or create a new project or pay out a bill. You won't have that. So again, a lot of this is typically more with the exec team or admin team who may not need to do data entry, but need to have visibility into the platform. And that's what that's going to happen, all right? As I've navigated through some of these modules, you might see some have stars associated to them. So because each of the user has their own unique login, we're going to give the visibility to kind of consolidate or have your favorites tasks. So these could be really anything within the platform that you need to quickly reference, go to, navigate to, whether these are the modules themselves or dashboards or reports that you're going to leverage on a day in and day out basis. So really just to help simplify the menu so you're not having to click through several different avenues. Another way to navigate over here on the top right-hand side is the search field. So what I can do here is be able to search in. I turn off my number lock. My keyboard doesn't seem to be working right now. So what this will allow us to be able to do is search across any of those fields so I could be able to find a specific bill, an invoice, either telling the system to search across the entire platform or help narrow down any search parameters to reflect that information. Right? Now, the other thing as well that we're going to do with navigation is, and kind of switching to a different dashboard, is when we talk about navigation as well, I want to talk with these dashboards. So first and foremost, what is a dashboard? A dashboard is a makeup of multiple different reports, information, all into a consolidated view that you've created. So in this instance, I've gone through these role-based, and I've created several different role-based dashboards. You saw the CFO view. In this case, now I'm showing this project performance. The really fundamental level of how they're broken out to is in 3 major fields. The top, you'll see these are our performance cards or KPIs, a metric that you want to be able to quickly see and reference, but showing us how many active jobs do we have in the platform? How many new jobs do we have this month? What's the revenue? What's our projected profit margins? So on and so forth. At a glance, how are you performing? Underneath that, you're going to see I have a chart, a graph, a visual indication. In this case on screen, I'm seeing a estimate versus actual. I'm able to also drill into any of these fields to see more detail into what those numbers are made up of. And then lastly is your standard traditional reporting tool. Again, all these reports have its own, or Intacct has its own built-in reporting functionality. And if I go up into this top tab, I go into our financial reviews, similar to if everyone's familiar with My Assistant, you can also build out any scheduled cadence of reports getting automatically sent out to specific users. Those users don't necessarily have to be active users within Intacct. They could be sent out or hard-coded in to send out this report to external individuals, again, depending on the situation. As I step back into our dashboards, kind of going into more of a granular look of what this is made up of. First and foremost, up in this top level, what this is doing is giving us a consolidation of all the entities beneath that, right? So as this is summarizing how the performance of each individual one, and I can easily select on an entity to see how we are performing, again, just on that vertical or that specific entity. The case on screen, we went from 20 active jobs to 11. Dashboard still looks the same, remains the same, but the data behind it will now change. As we also go into this ribbon, we're going to start to leverage a functionality called dimensions. Dimensions are a way that we tag every transaction, whether that is a contract, purchase order, general ledger entry, journal entry, or whichever fields. We're going to tag those in a way where then we can report off of that in that meaningful way. So for instance, these departments, right? Underneath it, these are all user-defined fields. So whether you have department, construction service, or marketing, or if you call it any different convention, we could be able to do that, but we can leverage these department attributes to that. Same thing with a location. So in this case, if you have multiple offices where it's Dallas, Houston, or Vermont, New Hampshire, from anyone who's from the East Coast, wherever you're having those different locations, you could be able to have that in a more consolidated view. The different dimensions, you're going to have 11 out-of-the-box dimensions. You can absolutely change these if you need to. If you don't want to use some, you could even add to this list as well. These are kind of just the industry standard that we've seen that covers most of the businesses out there. But again, this allows us to be able to filter off of all this information without having to go into 9, 10 different reports to also run each filter each time on that. Something also to know with dashboards, when we start to get to some specific information, whether it's payroll information or what, users will obviously need the ability to restrict who has visibility to see what. And you can set that up in the settings on each of these dashboards to go into each of the permissional views. So you can have individuals, you can create roles, so project managers or admins could be able to see some. But again, it allows us to be able to filter those. And then every dashboard that you have the ability to view could be duplicated, and you can change the format that you want to see it. So if I wanted to move jobs this month to the end, as simple, I could do that, moving, and we're off to the races. All right. So now kind of going a little bit deeper into some of our project capabilities. So as I go into the projects module, opens up our projects. This is a list of all active projects. Now, whether you're leveraging a, say, Procore, you're leveraging a construction management tool, there's some workflows to help integration. So only data is getting entered in once, whether we're entering that inside Intacct first, and then it gets sent in the other application, or vice versa. Information is seamlessly going to pass between the two. When we're looking in this view, again, acts as like a mini query. You're going to see this overall kind of layout, whether you're here, you're at your contracts, purchase orders, subcontracts, bills, invoices, wherever you are. It enables us to do these query functionalities. So as I want to show all of my hotel jobs, I could type in hotel here. I could even save some of these views under here where I can go and reference quickly all of my warehouse jobs. All of these could be saved once you have a specific view, and all of them can be included onto your dashboard as well. Where I really like to see some of this functionality is when we start to go in more of the back-end side of things. So as I go to edit, there's a lot of different areas that are out of the box, default fields that I could be able to reference. But really what I like to expand on is down in the bottom, you're going to see some of these have these red dots, such as this owner number. The red dot indicates to me, the end user, that this is what we call a custom field. Custom field is very easy to create. I'm going to show you briefly how it is. But what it now enables us to do is run any reporting off of said field that you need to capture. So now I can start to, if it's especially unique to your business, I can capture those fields. I can run reports off of those custom fields, whatever the parameter may be. Now, how did I get to that point? Well, if I open up the Sam Jackson Hall, this is going to pull in, again, our project information tab, who the project is, type of contract, what type of project. Again, all these fields are user defined within it. But over on the right-hand side, you're going to see this owner project number field. So in order to create a custom field inside Intacct, all you need to do is tell it, give it a name. So obviously, owner project number, pretty straightforward. What type of field is going to be? It has an alphanumerical text. So if that's numbers, letters, symbols, whatever, it could be a drop down. It could be a multi-choice drop down. It could be even a checkbox like you see down here. Again, whatever the field type is, and then where do you simply want it located? Well, I want it under the project information tab. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. You do not need to include an action consultant to do any of that. Something that you guys can all do at your fingertips. Now, also to start going through some of those workflows and automation tools I mentioned earlier, really what I like to leverage, or the scenario I like to give, is with these smart rules and smart events, leveraging the status field, right? So what a smart rule may do is a smart rule may say, if I have a status that's underbidded, and I now need to make this project in progress or awarded or whatever we want to call it, and I try to save, the system's going to say, hey, per that smart rule you created, you said that you need to have this project manager field completed. And if it's not completed, it can come up with an error for you and say, please fill that out. So that's going to be a smart rule. Helps us build out any automation. What a smart event works a little different. Works as like a if, then logic. So if this field or this step is completed, then I want you to take an action. So again, going back to our project status, if I'm under my bidded stage, I now move this to my in progress field and I hit save. Because we already have this project manager down below, it can send an email automatically to them saying you have a new project assigned to you. Please click into Intacct or Procore or Construction Manager, whichever the project management application is. Please click into that to see more details, right? So again, a lot of ways to help customize or tailor the system around any specific organizational workflows that you guys need to record or capture. As I'm scrolling through the top, as you're familiar, if you're familiar with 300 or 100, we can absolutely capture cost codes specific to a project. We're going to be able to capture within Intacct multiple estimates. If you are leveraging as well Sage estimating, there essentially, if you're doing Sage estimating and 100 or 300 integration, within that tool, there's just a little button up in the top right that just says send to the accounting system. You're going to follow the same exact wizard. All of that estimate detail will also populate inside Intacct. The caveat to Intacct as well is, as you see on screen, I can have as many different estimates as I want to capture or record. So in this case, I can have a primary. So as we need to run those estimate versus actual reports, I can have that here. I could also capture any negotiated work. You know, this is first round, second round, third round, whatever we want to break that out as. So a lot of information to capture. And then as you hit the little pencil, you can expand on any of those fields to see the content, the detail, what item is, what labor cost codes, all the price associated with that as well. Moving over into the purchasing commitment side. So under here, I could be able to type in the purchase order field, or if this is a subcontract and I want to see a specific subcontract. My keyboard's apparently not working right now, so I can't type anything in, even if I tried. But essentially, once I wanted to get that fixed, I could be able to view that. I could also view it by different vendors. So if I'm looking for all of Ace Drywall's bills, purchase orders that we've created, I could do so. I could also click on any of these to see links directly to said purchase order. So in this case, I can see the contents of the purchase order, some transactional dates, have we received any payment. In this case, this is partially converted. What this is kind of referencing is something maybe more like material, right? So say we order 100 units, whatever the case might be, and we only receive or get invoiced for 50 of them, right? Well, we can create a bill based off of those 50, and then down here in the bottom, it will show you the remainder of the value. So in this case, we've had the quantity 291, we've converted 181. It would do the calculation for you as we create a bill for that to be able to be paid out on. All right. Then capability to view all the subcontracts details. As I wanted to go into any individual subcontract, I can see compliance. I can see any change documents, histories, posting details, all surrounded that particular subcontract. I can even email this out directly from this platform as well if someone wants to receive a copy of the contract itself, or even include any attachments, right? So as we start to go into some of the project contracts fields, again, here's going to be more of the upstream. So here's our contracts that we're going to have. What type of contract? Is it AIA, fixed, T&M, cost plus, however it is. And as you expand on it, you could be able to see the makeup of the contract. So obviously, who's it going to? The customer. The original price. Are there any revisions, approved change orders, pending change orders coming through? We're absolutely able to see that. Scrolling down is going to be the schedule of values. If you update any of the percents here, what this is going to do is from this point moving forward, it would update any of that retainage value. So as you create an invoice in the system, it would update reflecting that correct values. You can also scroll all the way up to the top to see anything that has been billed out on this contract. So whether that is, again, just the traditional AIA, or if you see I've created a quick contract invoice down here, a quick invoice, you could be able to build that out, view those contents, and just expanding on one just so we kind of get a general look of what this might look like. Or print this out. So again, we're leveraging multiple templates in the platform. I'm going to show you exactly where this could be captured. So in this case, I have a simple AIA application, the G70273 in here, and you can absolutely customize these fields. We're going to leverage a Word document to be able to create all these templates. Where a lot of I see the end users leveraging that is as we go into our invoices. And something I should mention real quickly, within Intacct, I think in 300 they have this reversed from what Intacct calls your accounts receivables your invoices. and your accounts payables, your bills. I think 300 has those two functionalities or reverse, the naming's reverse. So just make a little mental note of that. But going into our projects and creating that AR invoice, what I'm going to do here is just create this contract based off a project contract. You can see I can have multiple templates. So something that's come up a couple times is some users want to have different AIAs based upon the vendor or whoever it's going to, the owner, if they want to see it in a certain format. You can absolutely create as many as you need to from here. And then going down into our contract, we just need to select what contract we're going to, and that is a list of all active contracts that we have in the platform. And then again, today's bill through date, and let's preview what that would look like. Excuse me. So again, so far I haven't done anything, so we're not going to invoice anything out just yet. But as I scroll down to the content, here is going to be your scheduled items. Here is going to be the different columns. All of these fields can be customized. You can hide fields that may not need to be captured. Internal and external references, that's something we don't want to see. We can typically go into the more actions to hide a lot of those entry fields. As I scroll through the mouse will just scroll over, you're going to be able to see here is all the contract fields. I do have a change order that is a separate line item. That is just a preference. So in your organization, if you have change orders affecting existing line items and not be it's separate, again, it's just a settings thing. We'd be able to help accommodate that with implementation. And then here I would just be able to update each of the % complete values directly from here. Now, again, I would mention if my keyboard was working, then I could also see the % as I update this. It would put in the dollar value directly in this field. And I can also overwrite that dollar value, and that will back calculate to that percentage field as well. All right. Scrolling over on the right-hand side, same thing with retainage is we capture retainage. You could do one-off adjustments from here, and there's also a field to release retainage. All right. Once you have the invoice corrected, the AIA populated, you just simply hit create invoice. Now, something I want to show you with if you're doing more of a T&M billing, so all this, the contract lines will be blank, but you scroll down, any timesheets that have been recorded or captured to this contract would be displayed beneath that, as well as any accounts payable expenses, purchase order expenses, all of them would be displayed underneath it. And then you can see the select option. This would enable me to check the box of what invoices, what time I want to include on this billing period. Again, with this system kind of not really working the way it should be, I'm happy to connect with any of you all on a one-on-one basis to kind of show you that workflow. But once you've captured everything, you just simply hit create invoice, and then you're able to go out and go into your accounts receivables and apply any additional payments or apply any information that we need to from here, such as the check number, what style is it's going to be, check, credit card, cash, ACH style, however we're going to be including that. All right. Going into some of the accounts payables, again, depending upon if we're tracking purchase orders from here, or if you're in another system and you're capturing those information and it gets sent over as a bill inside Intacct, what a lot of that would look like. Also, if you're leveraging TimberScan, all of that information as they scan through, route through, goes through the approval process, all of the bills will apply to here. And then as you may remember, you can filter out all of those views just to say, show me everything that needs to be paid that has not been paid. And I can see those fields from here and just pay out each of the individual invoices or bills down the list. Now, if you didn't want to do it one at a time, what you would also go into is this pay bills module. This is now everything that's ready to be paid out. A few things with this field. As you get to the filtering side of things, you are absolutely able to filter, create a rule set, filtering across, show me just a specific project. What an out-of-the-box thought could be is we had a customer who wanted to capture or assign a day of the week to each of their vendors and be able to filter off of that. So what we did was created a custom rule or custom field called day of the week on the vendor record. And then I was able to create a rule set to say, show me all my Monday vendors, all my Tuesday vendors, all my Wednesday vendors, and that's where I'd be able to accomplish that from here. So I could filter out whatever the rule set might be. I could also filter it out by vendor themselves. You're also going to see this vendor compliance. A few things with the compliance side. Compliance can be done by either warning, like we see on screen, which is essentially saying, I want to let you know something's up, but I'm still going to let you pay out the bill. Or it could be something like an error, which just says, you cannot pay this bill out until this action is completed or this compliance is completed. Whether it is something like a date, is a certificate of insurance, or if I even go into this Portland Supply, it's showing us all the dates. Let's see if a better one. Beaverton, Sand and Gravel, perfect. So under the Beaverton, Sand and Gravel, I have the system automatically create me a lien waiver. The lien waiver has not been signed and returned back, so it's going to come up with a warning. I could also on the fly be able to hit edit and say, yes, I've received this, and upload all the documentation and save that to remove that warning away from there. But again, it's just kind of a way that we can set up that capturing of that information. Now, as it comes time to paying out bills, again, you can select every bill in the system that you want to pay out, or you can just manually select a specific bill that we want to see. So let's just do this Beaverton Sand and Gravel for $429.90. Simply just hit pay now. Because we've selected it as this check process, it's now going to go into us so we can run check. But you can also see you could do check, credit card, ACH, all from within the system. Again, staying on top of the check process, as we need to, excuse me, as we need to print checks. Again, we're going to say what style of checks, pre-printed MICR, what account, automatically going to pull in the next date, and then we can find that bill that we just paid out or the bill that we've indicated, selecting pay, and hit print. If the instance of something did not print correctly, errors, whatever the case might be, you can always void out directly from here and print it again. If it did print correctly, I just simply hit confirm, and you're going to watch that now bill, check number 90, no longer is obviously on the screen because it doesn't want to pay it out twice. We've already paid it. Where I like to see a lot of this information is when we go back to our dashboards. So with these dashboards, these reports, all of the information, as soon as you're hitting a save, a complete, a process, a post, whatever that is, all of the dashboards are getting updated in real time. So as I go into this posted payments view, I can expand on this field from here, and I can see there is that check that we just done. So again, information is easily accessible. All of your dashboards are getting updated as soon as that action item is saved, created, or wherever it stands in that cycle. All right. Now, one of the last things I wanted to show you before we turn into some of the Q&A, going into our cash management. So absolutely, you're going to have all of your credit card accounts, checking accounts. In those checking accounts, one of the nice things is we can actually, if I open up the Bank of America account, you can connect your, through this cloud functionality, connect your bank account to Sage Intacct. What that will look like is if I go into this bank transactions, I can see a live look of everything that's happening in our bank accounts. You could even add these on to your dashboards if you have it, and also protect all of that. So only specific users are able to obviously see that. But what it enables us to do is if I go back a few screens, I can then run reconciliation on a more frequent basis. So as I run reconciliation, it'll automatically pull in that information from the account. If you do not have it matched up, you can also upload directly that file from the bank account into the system. But I can also create a rule set down here below. What the rule set will help me do is it helps match all of those transactions. So in this rule set that I've created, I've told the system if the date, dollar value, and payee match, then you're okay to match it. If all three do not match that, and I can now go through and find all of the unmatched records, whether that is through the Intacct, so these are all the Intacct side, or this is all through the bank side of information. Right? So again, a lot of ways to help personalize this information around you, help to capture all this information. That's most everything I wanted to go through the Intacct side of things. So I am going to stop sharing. But something that, if you remember on the agenda, I wanted to talk about was that action data bridge. What is action data bridge? Well, one of the things that we've noticed through a lot of the implementations that we've done is Sage doesn't have a tool designed for us to be able to take our accounting data in Sage 300 and bring it over into Intacct. And without getting into the weeds too much, it is not as simple as you may find of just taking this data folder, exporting it out, and bringing it into Intacct. We have to go through kind of some of the readiness and make sure that the data integrity is good. So what Action has done is actually gone out there and created its own tool to take your current active Sage projects. Again, just want to be clear, this is only today for Sage 300 users, but it will take your active projects, active detailed transaction journal entries, all of that information, and it will go through a conversion process. Once we vet it out that everything looks good to go, it will upload that into Intacct for you. Where we're seeing is this is actually reducing a ton of the time it takes to go through the implementation and conversion, because we're now able to take your data, upload it in the system through that readiness, that implementation, make sure everything's good, validate all of that information, and then you guys would go through and make sure that all the information looks correct. But again, reducing a lot of that time for taking all of your Sage 300 data where you couldn't do it before, and now giving you the ability where you're getting detailed transactions, all of that for your active projects, again, only for your Sage 300. Happy to talk a lot more off of that. It is in early adopters. I would say either reach out to myself or your account manager to kind of get more information of what that would look like, what the steps, more detailed steps are involved in that. But like I mentioned, I do want to take the rest of the time, the 20 or so minutes, to go over any questions that you have, and questions can be submitted over on that right-hand Q&A side of the field.
Perfect. I'm going ahead and highlight in case anyone's struggling to find it. As you guys are filling in any questions, I'll give you your little end of day spiel. So if you guys haven't had a chance, please do fill out our survey on the console. Your feedback is extremely important to us. Right now, it's not looking like there's any questions. So yet again, Jared, you have a fantastic presentation and you answered everyone's questions. But if anybody, later on today or after you've discussed with your team and you have questions, please feel free to reach out to Jared, myself, or your company's sales rep. And they'll also be in contact with you soon, and they'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So I think we'll let you guys have your 20 minutes back as no questions are coming in. So thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.